There's no such thing as a small disaster. So when you call 1-800 Water Damage of North Dakota, we come prepared to restore your life back to normal. From burst pipes to unexpected mold discoveries or fire damage, when things couldn't be worse, we come to you with our best. With empathy, local expertise, and a truck full of seriously powerful equipment. 1-800 Water Damage of North Dakota. Restoring what matters most. 701-670-2022.
Hello and welcome to this Valley News Now weather update brought to you by 1-800 Water Damage of North Dakota. I'm meteorologist Lisa Green here with the bright side. You may have seen yesterday that we introduced this as the official name of our weather show that we do around the 10 o'clock hour here every day. Basically, I'm just giving you a weather update, but I'm also trying to look at the bright side of things when it comes to our weather. It can be so gloomy, including today. We have serious weather a lot, and of course, we always want to take those severe weather situations seriously, but at the same time, always looking for some positive things when it comes to the weather around here. One thing is it's always interesting, and for someone like me, who is obviously a weather enthusiast, I've always got something to talk about and to be excited about here in the Valley. So we're keeping things interesting today. We're kind of actually in a kind of a break, a breather here before we see the chances for precip return as we head into the weekend. So at this point, we're taking a break from the precip in most areas. It's not the case everywhere, but in most areas, that's what we're doing right now. So let's get into it. So we'll do a little recap here, a little look back on what we saw with this last clipper that moved through. We had some really strong winds, some gusts in the 40s, even some 50s over toward Valley City and Jamestown yesterday. And now that's starting to come down and we're starting to see some improvement. And then I've just pulled up some liquid precip reports. So this is either snow meltdown or rain, or both of those things that were measured in the valley. And so you can see that from the North Dakota Agricultural Weather Network, we saw the Warren area, Viking, and Fox all reporting about a third of an inch of rain or snow in their instance. We had a lot of snow up north that fell down pretty quickly. And then in Fargo and Grand Forks, we saw that 0.2 of an inch or so of liquid precip. That's also something we're watching closely for the potential for some flooding, because we're still getting, that thaw going on. Then we just added some snow to the mix this weekend. So keeping an eye on our snow depth, because that's all locked in water, locked in moisture that still needs to work its way through the system. So this is our latest snow depth analysis, and you can see that we've got areas where we've had a lot of our snow melting. There's still some snowpack out there, but it's really melting with the warmth and the rain that we've had recently this week. But in the Northern Valley, still dealing with that snowpack anywhere in this deeper blue, that's 6 to 12 inches, so half a foot to a foot of snowpack, and still some pockets here in purple from the weekend, from what we picked up yesterday, where we've got that 12 plus. So again, some liquid moisture in the mix there, or I guess locked in moisture that will eventually melt and work its way into the basin. So that's the latest snowpack. We do have a flood warning that takes effect later this week for the Two Rivers River at Hallock. Again, this was a problem spot earlier this season. Right now, the hydrograph, the river stage here at the sensor in Hallock on the Two Rivers River, it is not showing a rise at the moment, which is a good thing. So you can see it's kind of gently dropping still, but the forecast is showing, the River Forecast Center, thinking that we're going to, as we start to see that moisture working its way into the system, that we're going to see the river start to rise. And eventually by next week, if we line up that, where we cross over that flood stage line and get into the orange, which is minor flood stage, that looks to be happening on Monday. So that's something to look for in that area. There are other rivers where there's some forecast of a rise. So if you want to keep an eye on river levels where you are, I'm going to pull up our website for you and show you where you can find it yourself and keep up to date in real time. So let's pull up our website. Oops. There we go. And head to the weather page at the top menu. And then you get to our weather page, and then you can see that we've got river levels right here. And then here's our river levels page. So the Red River, if I click on this, this will show us our river levels at all along the basin. So this particular order is downstream to upstream. So Pembina up at the border, you could see the river's doing just fine there. Still going down in a lot of places. We were dropping, and now we've leveled off at the Red River at Oslo. Grand Forks holding some rise going on near Thompson. And Halstead doesn't look too bad. Fargo looks okay, just a slight rise, but below action stage. So that's the Red River. I did notice some forecasts, and no forecast currently for the Red River, just observation here, historical line. And I did notice, I believe it was the Buffalo River, that there were some forecast rises there. Yes, so there's a forecast for the Buffalo to rise into minor flood stage next week. This is at Dilworth or near Dilworth. And also, and again, this isn't quite matching up with reality right now, so it'll be interesting to see what the River Forecast Center does to make adjustments to these forecasts coming up later today. But this is the South Branch near Sabin, or at Sabin. And then there are some gauges where there's no forecast right now. Going back, I also want to look at the wild rice in the Southern Valley. This, I believe, also had a forecast when I checked. I don't see that here, so perhaps not. Okay, just a slight rise going on there. So yeah, you could always check this as we're looking at more moisture coming our way in the forecast. So that's the Two Rivers River at Hallock that I just showed you, and that's under that flood warning. And then here's a look at the latest radar. You can see that we've got some clouds overhead, but there's some blue on the map here. So I'm gonna just make a little adjustment to our radar image and view. You can see this is more for South Dakota. We've got more activity going on there. However, I am seeing some areas of a little bit of snow trying to cross the state line with North Dakota, and also some snow extending back west of Dickinson. So if this holds together and slides eastward, the very southern end of the valley, I would be on the lookout for the possibility for a little snow. And especially into South Dakota, that is looking like a potential likelihood of seeing some precip there later today. But most of the valley, more just on the cloudy side, with the isolated possibility of some flakes and flurries that won't be impactful. You just may notice one or two for today. So looking outside, here's a look at our current conditions. You can see that on our Skycam at the Dakota Magic Casino that we have just some gentle movement to our flags. The wind has eased up. It's still out there. We still have a north or northwesterly wind, and it's into the teens. So just that overall flow, keeping our temperatures cool. We've been kind of running at the same range all morning long, upper 20s to right around the freezing mark. And that's the case in Fargo, Grand Forks. So might be some icy patches out there still that you encounter. And in addition to that, it's feeling chilly out there. So when we factor in the wind, our wind chills are in the teens and 20s. So a day to dress like it's winter time still. You might not, probably don't need the heavy parka, but you'll still want the warmer coat. And if you're going to be outside for a while, gloves might be a good idea, and a hat as well. Okay, so winds are, again, not as strong out of the northwest and into the teens. No big gusts going on right now, so that's great. And then we talk about our next weather maker coming up here. We've got Sunday being a day where we're going to warm up, and we're also going to see the chance for some thunderstorms. So since this might be our first round of the season, even though right now it does not look like they will be severe, we're first alerting you to that, just so you know what's to come, and you've got that first heads up about what we may see. So we'll get to that in a moment. But taking a look at our hour-by-hour planner, we are going to, this started this morning at 4:30 when we start the valley today. We'll move on into our forecast. And you can see that we've got just some cloud cover across much of the valley. There are some areas where we'll get some breaks here and there. You can see there up toward Devil's Lake, we might see a break. And then still these flecks of blue showing up on the map here to just demonstrate that there is that possibility we could still see a quick little flurry or a light snow shower that, again, won't have much as far as consequences for travel, but still, something you may see. And then here's that precip I was mentioning, and we were tracking in western parts of North Dakota and South Dakota. So this is still a possibility, especially for our communities along the North Dakota, South Dakota line and back over to places like Wheaton and Elbow Lake. You could be impacted if this tracks a little farther north, and the radar is indicating that it may be a little farther north from here if it kind of holds in that west to east movement. There could be a little south dip in that. So watching for that later today. Temperatures today, 30s to about 40. And then we're looking at some numbers heading into tonight that stay fairly mild. We'll be into the 20s to near 30 degrees tomorrow morning, so slightly cooler as we clear out. But that also means that we've got some sunshine on the way for tomorrow, and the wind changes direction, more south and then becoming westerly. And both of those directions can be a nice warming direction or warmer direction to get our air from. So, by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we're looking out for temperatures, and heading into the evening, temperatures into the low to mid 50s in the south and west, and more 40s north and east. And with sunshine, I just think it's going to be a nice spring day coming up for Friday with not too much wind. So that's something to look forward to. And after going through the clouds of today and the cool down of today, it'll be that much more enjoyable. So that's the bright side of the situation right now. Looking at the wind, it's also on the light side. So looking at that wind easing up on us too. Okay, so back to that first alert weather day on Sunday. Let's talk about the active pattern that's going to be taking over. Again, this is Friday. Friday's looking pretty good for us here. And then heading into Saturday morning, we'll start quiet. And then this is around 6 o'clock Saturday evening. You can see the clouds have moved in, and then we have that chance for some rain showers taking over as well. Heading into the afternoon and evening hours on Saturday, a chance for some scattered rain showers. Into Sunday morning, still active. You can see that potential for more rain and potentially even more thunder as we go into a Sunday afternoon and evening. So again, it's just going to be one of those situations where we're going to have to keep an eye on the radar if we have outdoor plans heading into this weekend, but milder. And then I am moving ahead. We're going to zip through this really quick because it's not really important right now to focus on where we're seeing the rain on the map here, but just the fact that there is some, because our models really are not in agreement. Even from run to run in the same model, it's not showing the same solution each time, which tells me there's still a lot to be worked out here with what's going on with the atmosphere, but there is that possibility for this active pattern to continue through the first part of next week. And, all of that adds up. So let's take a look at our liquid equivalent precip forecast through the next 7 days. So this includes today. And looking at some areas in the region that could be in that range of 1+ inches of rain. Right now, this model is showing it's more down toward Minneapolis that gets that kind of more solid, uniform rounds of rain. Whereas here in the valley, anywhere in blue is up to a 1/2 inch, and then some green areas could be the 1/2 inch to an inch, and then the yellow pockets are an inch or more. And again, this is something to watch with the rivers going up a little bit here today. So that's a look at our kind of overview of what's to come. Let's take a look at our numbers. Today, a high of 40. Tomorrow, again, that beautiful spring day. And then it gets more active into the weekend, but temperatures look really good. Saturday, 40s to some 50s. And then Sunday, we see a real surge of warmth. It's going to be breezy to windy this weekend as well. And so that means our temperatures are going to be surging as well. So we're going to see some numbers into the 60s to some low 70s coming up for Sunday on our first alert weather day. And all that energy helping to fuel a thunderstorm or two. Now, moving into next week, still mild on Monday, but with this active pattern, we could get a cool down behind a round of active weather and end up with some chillier numbers on Tuesday. I can't rule out some snow mixing in. Yesterday, models were indicating a little bit of snow. Today, they're coming back on that. So I'd like to see a couple more model runs here before I feel confident in saying for sure that we're going to see that, but it is a possibility at least. And then looking ahead to midweek next week and beyond, that's when we kind of level things off, and we're looking at temperatures getting back into the 50s. So some wild swings, some ups and downs here. We go from winter weather, winter storm warnings, a foot of snow over Easter weekend to this coming weekend, talking about temperatures perhaps surpassing 70, and also seeing that potential for springtime thunderstorms. So a big difference, and that's just how volatile this season is. We can go back and forth for a while before we finally turn that corner for good for the season and end up with some milder numbers here. So this weekend is going to feel more spring-like than winter-like. So something to look forward to here for the coming forecast. And each day during the Artemis mission, I've been keeping you up to date on the latest on the mission. And so let's pull up the live feed from NASA. This is a live feed from the Orion spacecraft as the astronauts on the Artemis mission are making their way back to Earth. They're one day away from return and splashdown. This particular view does not have the Earth or the moon in its view right now, but they are on their way, and you can see that elapsed time. 7 days, 16 hours, and 52 minutes currently. So tomorrow we will again be tracking this, and as they prepare for the return to Earth and splashdown. Just a little bit of info on what's happening today. So the crew's waking up here, goodness, probably in the next 10 minutes. I believe it's supposed to be at 10:35 or less than 10 minutes now. And so this will be their last full day, and so they're going to really be getting into gear about prepping for the return to Earth. They're going to be, stowing things, making sure everything's in place. They're going to study their procedures for reentry and splashdown, and really discuss what they're going to do and make plans with the flight control team. A correction burn, a return trajectory correction burn happening, and they'll be doing a couple more demos as well. Waste collection systems, they've had some problems with their toilet on this. So this will be, again, this is why they do these missions before these missions before they do the final journey to the moon's surface, to correct any issues that might have come up during that time. And I'm sure that's one thing they'll be working on. And then also they're also going to be putting on what's called their orthostatic intolerance garment, which is what their clothing, their uniform essentially, that can help with that return to Earth and that change from going from zero gravity back to Earth's gravity. So that helps them. It helps their bodies readapt to that pull that returns. And so those compression garments will be worn. So they're just checking the fit on that today. And I think that's about it on the plans for the return to Earth. Just wanted to look at a couple of pictures on that return to Earth here too. I've just loved seeing these come in. This is from NASA's gallery. This one is one of my favorites of the crew. They just look like they're so happy, and that they really enjoy each other too, which is a good thing given they're in such a tight space for such even an hour of that would be a little tough with somebody you didn't get along with. I can't imagine many days of that in a row. And then there was another one I wanted to show that I thought was really cool. I don't think it's in this image, but this is just some images of the return to Earth. This is a picture of the Milky Way. Can you imagine being able to see the Milky Way without the Earth's atmosphere distorting and blocking out the view of some of those most distant dim stars? It would just be incredible to see. So it's just, again, been great. Here's a look. And again, if you want to track, you can go to NASA's website. It's just nasa.gov/missions and then Artemis 2. And you can follow along at where they are at. And you can see it's the distance to the moon is 130,000 miles, and the distance from Earth is 148,000 miles. Let me refresh this for you, make sure we've got the latest information. So yeah, 7 days in now of living in this little capsule here. And as I'll take a look at the overview again, this has been a cool thing to see, and kind of really helped me get a gauge for how the distance is and where Orion is in its path on this journey. So the moon's all the way over here now, And you can see the Earth is right in the center of this image. And then Orion took this route, and at that point, the moon was over here. So Orion met up with the moon, did a loop around it, that flyby, and is heading back. Meanwhile, the moon just kept on in its orbit around the Earth. So again, I just think it's so cool we're able to do the math and time out, catching up and moving with a moving object. And now Orion again is right here on its way back to Earth. So again, we'll continue to do some checks. Here's that live view again as the day 9 begins on the Orion spacecraft today for the Artemis 2 mission. So that's the bright side. And it's Thursday, so what time is it here? Oh goodness, I'm late. I was late to get on for this one. It's just always busy around here. At 10:30 every Thursday, I do a little segment called Learning with Lisa, where we just kind of pick a weather topic, something that's been in the news, something that's interesting, maybe something you've been wondering about. Always feel free to reach out to me if there's a weather question you want answered. So we'll get into that coming up here in just a moment. I'll re-rack my graphics, and then we'll do Learning with Lisa here. And we're going to go over El Nino, because some big news announced today on El Nino, and it has big impacts on us. So we'll explain that in just a couple of minutes, but hopefully you've enjoyed the break from the rain and snow this morning and got to where you needed to be this morning with no problem. And we'll be back here on the bright side tomorrow at 10 a.m. with the weather update. And then in just a few minutes, I'll be back here with a look at ENSO, El Nino Southern Oscillation, and where we are at now and what the implications are as we head further into our seasons to come. So details to come. So this has been your weather forecast update brought to you by 1-800-WATER Damage of North Dakota, and we'll have another weather update coming for you a little bit later today from our afternoon and evening crews. We'll see you tomorrow.
There's no such thing as a small disaster. So when you call 1-800-WATER Damage of North Dakota, we come prepared to restore your life back to normal. From burst pipes to unexpected mold discoveries or fire damage, when things couldn't be worse, we come to you with our best. With empathy, local expertise, and a truck full of seriously powerful equipment. 1-800-WATER Damage of North Dakota. Restoring what matters most. 701-670-2022.